I did a thing. I went to a place and I met people. Um, I interacted with people. Um, that's not really that surprising of a thing. I do that a lot. Um, uh, Social etiquette notwithstanding. So I am recording this the day after I went to the Omaha Pop Expo in Omaha, Nebraska, which I live in Lincoln. Omaha's like an hour away. That's where I've been, where I've talked about like the Henry Dorley Zoo and the Sheldon Art Museum. Actually, no, Sheldon's here. Jocelyn is in Omaha, though I haven't been there since I started the channel because reasons and remodeling. Durham Heritage Museum, History Museum, stuff like that. But I didn't go to any of those places. Yesterday, I went to the Oakview Mall, which is actually a very nice mall, big, nice, very nice dome ceiling area in it, atrium type setup inside, very nice. Unfortunately, the mall has running out of shops and stuff like that, but there's still a good chunk of shops there and everything. Hot Topic, Claire's, take your pick, Anchor stores, chain stores, all that type of stuff. But yesterday and Saturday, um, they had the 18th and the 19th. They had the Omaha Pop Expo there, and I believe it was the first one that they've done there. It was free admission, which was awesome. And my mom took me, my nephew, my younger niece, and younger niece's boyfriend, because we're all dorks. Um, Older niece and fiance were not able to come because older niece has been very tired lately and wanted to relax for the weekend, which is fair. But we went Monday, or we went on Sunday. They had lots of different, they had like 4 guests. And I'll get to the 2 main ones that I interacted with in a minute. Although I did talk to all 4 of the guests. And then they also had like aerial acrobatic dancing and stuff like that, where they have like the rings and the cloths and stuff like that they hang from. They did like a performance of that, and they were all in like different costumes. Like there was Pikachu, there was Ash, there was Princess Peach, Bowser, Bowsette because it was a girl, Sonic, Tails, lots of them dressed up as different Street Fighter characters, stuff like that, doing like the acrobatic routines and stuff like that, and it was really cool to watch. And they had that kind of going on in the middle area. And then they had like lots of merch stands and booths and stuff like that set up throughout the upper and lower parts of the mall. And my wallet was proud of me. I didn't spend that much in comparison to how much I could have spent with still being unemployed at the moment, or returning to being unemployed, depending on how you want to look at it. But so that was fun. I'll show you a couple of the things that I got. I got a soot sprite, little wooden soot sprite with a little star for you to feed it, because you have to feed them, from Spirited Away. I got a really cool looking Mewtwo pin. That's a Mewtwo when he's in his armor, which I wish I'd been able to get one of these in Pokemon Go, but I didn't. But I got this. That was like $5. I got just a dragon on a planet pin. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't wear pins, but I liked it. I got this necklace, piece, charm. I just like it because it looks, I know it's based off of like Celtic symbols, but like my brain recognizes this as the symbol in Charmed, for the Halliwells and their family and stuff like that. And it's made out of, I can never remember the name of this one, but it's like, I like this stone. And then I also got this, which is a brass platypus. And the lady who I got this from, she had like a bunch of pins and other brass animals, and this was one of the brass animals that she had. And she was like, I really wish I had a little brass fedora to put on it so you could do a brass platypus. Perry the brass platypus. Which just made all of us that were in the area when she said it laugh, which was very funny. So those are the smaller things that I got. This is probably the most expensive thing that I bought that was not technically an autograph. So there's this. And just Sailor Moon, this is her fourth brooch in the series, the one from the Dream Kingdom arc. I don't know where I'm going to put that yet. I haven't figured that out yet. I've got like my Sailor Moon stuff up here, but I'd want to put that on something sturdy so it doesn't just fall and smash into the ground or something. So I have to figure out where I'm going to put it over here. We'll see. But the other thing that I did, that I kind of did on a whim Saturday before we were going to go, is so they had 4 guests. 2 of them were female. They're all voice actors. They've all kind of done some live action stuff. But they're all voice actors, of course, at a Comic-Con type event. And I'm gonna put a link here in the description so you can go and look it up to see better of who the actors were. The 2 women they'd both been in Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I still have not seen at this point in time. I know enough about the story to understand what happens in the story, but I just haven't watched it yet. At some point in time I might, or I probably will, I just haven't yet. That was kind of when I was going out of kids cartoons, when that was going on Nickelodeon. But I just, eventually I'll end up watching it. So don't at me. I know I will watch it eventually. But so there's that. And 2 of the women had been in that. One of them had also been in, which just made me, is my inner child, is she played Rhonda in Hey Arnold, which of course I grew up on Hey Arnold. And we talked a little bit. I had my nephew kind of with me, who's 14, and he kind of knows what Hey Arnold is, but like he's more interested because like they were in Avatar and he really loves Avatar. So we were like talking to the 2 ladies because there wasn't really a line at their booths, so we was just over there talking to them, or talking to one of them, and I'm like, I remember you from this, is what I know you from, in regards to Hey Arnold. So she was very nice. We talked a little bit about the fact that it was like, I still have not seen the Jungle movie that they did to kind of wrap up the series for Hey Arnold. I know kind of what happens in it, but I just haven't watched it yet. And like, she was like really happy that they had brought back all of the original cast, a bunch of the original writers, musicians, stuff like that, which I love when shows do that. It's like, if you can do this for the series, do it. If it's like, if actors have passed away or they're no longer able to do the voices or something like that to the standard that they would want to do for the characters, I perfectly understand recasting them. We just kind of went through this in the One Piece fandom with Kazuki Yao being, with him retiring as Frankie and stuff like that in One Piece. And maybe he'll come back once his health improves, but we'll see. But we welcome the new guy. So so it's like, we understand where that's coming from. But like, she really enjoyed that. She'd also been on like Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Gilmore Girls. So it's like, yeah, okay. And like other stuff. I think she was in Star Wars, Clone Wars at one point in time, which I'm kind of watching through. Doesn't mean I'll remember her, but yeah. But the other 2 that of course go into my One Piece designed and My Hero designed inlaid brain, for how my brain is wired for anime. They had John Swazi, who is of course Crocodile and All for One, and he's also he's the Undertaker in Black Butler, and then he's just been in so many other shows and stuff like that, for voice acting. And then John Gremlin, who I probably butchered his name and I apologize, who of course is Draco Mihawk in One Piece and is Gentle Criminal in My Hero. He's also in, he's in Black Butler as well as something, and he's also in other video games and stuff like that, done a bunch of different roles. And those were the 2 that I really wanted to see, and their panel was Sunday. Although Gremlin didn't get to stay for the panel because he actually had to catch a flight back to Houston because they're frozen now, or they will be frozen by the end of today or something like that. So he had to get on a plane to get back home before everything is just like, nope, everything's too cold. We're all frozen in place. We can't move. We don't know what to do with this situation. We didn't learn from last year. We didn't learn from the last time this happened. Clearly. That's not on him. That's just on the state of Texas. in regards to not being the smartest for some things. But so they were the two that I wanted to meet. And I had the idea Saturday. And I'm like, well, I have the devil fruits that I make where I do, the pearly bead art for the devil fruits that I sent ones to teching. I've got ones already ready to go to teching for this, the ones that have come out more recently. And a few other ones that I've made that I've talked about in videos, but one of those videos isn't up yet, so whatever. So I'm like, well, Crocodile's devil fruit is the Suna Suna no Mi, or the sand fruit, which I have made already anyway. And then I'm like, well, Mihawk doesn't have a devil fruit, but he has a sword. So I made Yoru out of perler beads because I'm a dork. So I made Yoru. I kind of tried to, the jewels are a little bit like, tried to base them off a little bit of like, they have red jewels in the manga whenever Oda has drawn them in the color spread. So I gave some red jewels, and like they're usually depicted with like blue and green. So I went with that. So, not as fancy as like a real, there was someone there that had like a real Yoru sword, although I don't know if it was foam. I didn't get the chance to touch it. It might have been a foam sword. But it was signed by the voice actor, so that's awesome. And I saw that at one point, and I'm like, I would have possibly bought that. If I'd found it sooner, I possibly would have bought that. And then gotten it signed anyway. To be fair, if I could find a crocodile hook for, that, I would have gotten him to sign that as well. So what I did was I really quickly made another one of these. For the Gura no, or Suna Suna no Mi. This is actually the one that I had to make on a really quickly, and it kind of didn't set correctly, so I kept the slightly more defective version, and I actually gave John Swazi, Crocodile's voice actor, the original version of this that I had made for the Suna Suna no Mi with a tag on it, and this is what the tag looked like. It's just like, it's the usual tags that I stick on the devil fruits, but I stuck a quote from Crocodile in here, and then I also added on, like, this devil fruit, the current user of this devil fruit is, Desert King Crocodile, or like his other titles of like, former warlord of the sea, president of Baroque Works, Mr. Zero, and, chief officer of the Cross Guild type of a thing. And so, like, that's what I put on his devil fruit as, like, the tag, and then I stuck, like, my, the channel name on it, and then, like, my little, the rainy mermaid thing that I have that's kind of like the channel logo, is there as well, and then, like, I signed it from me, and, like, I gave that to him, and then he signed, he signed the tag. And I just had him, write a nice thing. It was just like, use your talents for making others laugh and continue your passion for creativity, is what I did. So, had him do that. And so that was one thing. And then, obviously, I made Yoru, and I gave that to John Grimillon. Grimillon. It looks like Grimillion, because it's like million, but it's like, I know that's not right. So it's like John Grimillon, and I apologize if he sees this video. I apologize for butchering your last name. I'm sorry. Sorry. So I made him Yoru, and I gave him the best looking one out of the batch. And his tag looks like this. Is just smaller. It's just, it's a description of, Yoru, it's a black blade, tomato grade, Saizo Awazumono, and stuff like that. And then, like, a quote from Mihawk, and, just like, warning, this blade belongs to, is wielded by, Dracul, Hawkeye's Mihawk, and everything, for what I did for that. And then, like, I just had him write, happy birthday, because, like, my birthday is going to be in April. And it's like, keep honing your talents on YouTube, and good luck. And both of them were so nice. and I got pictures with both of them, with me holding, the devil fruit and the sword respectively, that I gave to each of them, and they were both very, very nice. John Swazi, I don't know how much he made me. I did have to pay, but I think he just made me pay for the autographs, and because I had him sign some other stuff, and I gave him something, he gave it to me he gave me like a discounted thing for autographs, which was great. They were both very nice. And then John Swazi was like doing the panel later, and I'll get to that one for like some of the questions that people asked. And then John Gramillon, he was very nice as well. They were both very nice. All the ones that I talked to were very nice. They're so used to like people coming up and talking with them and everything else like that at events and in public if people recognize them and everything. But they were both very nice. And John Gramillon actually just like he gave me the autographs for free for what I had him sign, which was awesome. And then I brought my nephew back later because my nephew, who's 14, he's kind of getting into One Piece. He's not very far into the series. I think he's only just gotten into the Grand Line, and like I don't even think he's hit Drum Island yet. I don't even know if he's hit Little Garden, and everything. But like he's getting into it, so it's like he at least knows who Mihawk is. So I brought him over, and like he didn't have any lines at the time, so we went over and we said hi, and my nephew was really happy about getting to meet him, and my nephew then spent some of his money there to get like an autographed picture of Mihawk, and it was a very nice picture of Mihawk with him sitting there drinking his wine and everything, as Mihawk is wont to do. So that was very nice. My nephew asked some questions, and we just talked a little bit, and then we did go back over and we talked to John Swazi again when he didn't have a line. Because it's like if we're gonna stand there and talk to them for a little bit, I don't want to have like a big line there behind us if I can avoid that, because that's just I just find that as kind of rude unless you're actually having something signed where it's like my stuff has been signed, but we'll go talk to him anyway. So we were talking to him a little bit, and one of the things that I hadn't realized is because it's been a while since I've watched the movie, is John Swazi, later on at the panel we kind of asked him what one of his favorite roles, and it ties into this because like they have like posters behind them that kind of show off some of the characters that they've played and stuff like that for them to be able to sign for people to recognize them from. And John Swazi, one that was on his was it's a movie that I really like. It's called The Boy and the Beast, and it's by Mamoru Hosoda. And at some point in time, I will do reviews of like his movies as well, because he's done like The Girl Who Leapt Through Time and Mirai and Wolf Children and Belle and The Boy and the Beast. And John Swazi plays like one of the main characters in it. He plays like the Beast, who's a giant bear, Kumatetsu. And I hadn't realized that was his, or it's like maybe at some point in time, like I watched this movie several years ago. I haven't watched it for a little while, but like I really liked the movie, and like I really liked the bear character, and he really likes playing the bear character. And he said later on, I'll do a little more of a explanation for it, but he said that's one of the favorite roles that he's ever done. Because I had like looked at the poster and I'm like, you're the bear in that. I forgot about that. And he's like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, I really, really like that role. So that was really nice. And then we get into where they had the panel. So it's like I went and talked to them, got stuff signed, gave them the Yoru and Suna no Mi respectively. Unfortunately, when I was getting my stuff signed, I had accidentally goofed on which one I handed them, and I had John Gramillon, Mihawks, sign the one that's for the Suna no Mi. And then Hawkeye, and then Crocodile's voice actor for Swazi, I had him accidentally sign the tag that's for Yoru. So the signatures will be sticking with the specific item that it belongs to, and then I'm just like going to reprint the tag so I have the proper tags on the proper items for my own collection purposes in my little drawer stack thing that I have over here. So there's that little goof that I made there, but I don't care. It's fine. But then they had the panel, and like we were talking to Mihawk's actor Gramillon beforehand, and I had actually asked him if he'd met the live action actor, Stephen John Ward, who plays, what's with all the Johns? Stephen John Ward, who plays Mihawk in the live action. And he said, yeah, I have met him, and he's a really nice guy. And he was trying to pull up like a funny video or something like that they had made of the two of them meeting at, like, I guess it was at a con in, I think he said Saudi Arabia or something, which is like, okay. And they wanted both of them there specifically. And like, it's just like, it's kind of like the, them interacting, and it was funny. And I looked it up later, and it was funny. They do like the whole Spider-Man meme pointing at each other thing, which is, a good way of doing that. Type of thing. So that was just kind of fun. They're, very nice, very, to have answered probably a lot of these questions a lot of the time anyway. But they're both very nice. I did not ask John Swayze if he's met Joe Manganiello, who's going to play Crocodile, or is currently filming as Crocodile for the live action for season 2. That will probably happen at some point in time, but I don't know if that's happened yet. That would be fun though. And then I thought of the idea of like really good picture sets would be like the original Japanese voice actors for the characters, the English voice actors for the characters, and then the live action actors for like at least for all the Straw Hats and for like Vivi and some of the other main characters or major characters, villains and stuff like that in the arcs. Those would be kind of fun to get. And then like if you can have other voice actors from other countries that are those characters' voice actors, those would be like really good group pictures from cons or something like that. Those may exist somewhere, but I don't know. With like each of them holding something that's like all of like, Mayumi Tanaka and Colin Clinkenbeard and Iñaki Gador all wearing like straw hats or something like that, are all holding a straw hat. Like Zorro stuff with swords, stuff like that. Where it's like all of them together, where it's just like, yeah, those would be good pictures. But then we got to the panel, and as I said, John Gramillion had to leave early, and we'd actually asked him about that, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be at the panel. I have to leave early because I have to get back to Houston. Fair. He's like, because it's going to freeze, and I'm like, yeah, yep, that's not fun either. And he wants to get home before everything's frozen. Fair. So it was just John Swayze that was at the panel, and, it's just, people can come up and ask questions and everything. And my mom, my nephew, and I all asked questions, and I think I ended up asking like 2. One of the ones that we asked was, I asked what his favorite and least favorite roles were that he's done. And as he said Kumatetsu from The Boy and the Beast was his favorite role that he's ever done. And the story that he told was, he had gone up to his son's room, and his son was like 15 or something like that, and his son was watching something. He's like, what are you watching? Anime. And he's just like, what are you watching? He's like, Soul Eater or whatever, where like he's in the show. He plays one of the characters, and he's like, I play that character. And he's like, yeah, I'm watching the Japanese I'm watching the original Japanese, which is just like a blow to your heart. And then he did The Boy and the Bear, and him and his family went to one of the screenings of it in, like, I guess where they live or whatever. And he has this like little 10-year-old daughter with him, and his wife and his son. And they walk out of the movie theater, and his daughter said very loudly, Daddy, you were great as the bear in that. And then like everybody stops, turns, and looks at him, and then they just like, they want autographs. And it's like, probably like looked over at his son, is like, that's how you do it. She's my favorite child now, type of a thing. He didn't say he really had a least favorite role, just because, like, it's roles that you get kind of involved in and everything else like that. A little girl asked what his the funnest role, and I think he said Undertaker from Black Butler was his funnest role that he gets to do, just because of like how out there the character is. I've never watched Black Butler, so don't ask me about that. I don't know. And then like, because he also does the voice directing for different projects and stuff like that, for different shows and stuff like that. And I had asked him, as a director, what, voice actor would he want to work with that he hasn't worked with yet. And he said one name that I didn't recognize, but then he said 2 that I definitely know. He said Johnny Young Bosch, who's of course Ichigo and a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of other characters, and then Todd Hebbercorn, excuse me, who is of course, I know him mostly as like Natsu from Fairy Tail, and other characters and other anime, obviously. but he's like, he wants to work with them as a director, because it's like, as you know, as is what happens when you do, you know, voice acting and stuff like that. When you're doing the dubbing, you know, you're all in there as on your own for the most part, doing like, you know, lines at a time, and like you're not even seeing the whole episode for the context of everything. It's like one scene here and there depending on what you're in, and you don't really get to work with the other actors that much. Occasionally they might have like maybe two of you in the booth at the same time, depending on what they're trying to work on. But because you have to try to, like, you know, lip sync and everything like that, it's a lot harder to do, match the lip flaps. But like, you know, they get to meet each other at like cons and stuff like that, and like other events, and you know, premieres and stuff like that for shows or movies or stuff like that. So it's not like they don't get to interact, because like both John Swazi and John Gramillion are from Houston, and they've both been voice actors for a long time, and they've, you know, been at various cons together and stuff like that. So it's not like they haven't interacted before or anything like that. And I mean, like, I know Crocodile and Mihawk are both in One Piece Stampede. Crocodile has a bit more of a major role in that than Mihawk does. But maybe they were both, you know, they may have, you know, certain schedules may have lined up, and they may have been together doing stuff for that or something like that. Neither of them are in Film Red, so that's not a thing. They're not in Film Red. Now I want to see both Mihawk and Crocodile with Uta merch. That sounds hilarious. Mihawk is just sitting there, and Perona's like, I want to listen to this song. And Mihawk's just sitting there like, help me. Help me. As like Perona just plays like New Genesis in the background. That would be funny. I don't know. Maybe Mr. One is secretly a fan of Uta, and Crocodile just puts up with it because like Mr. One is the closest thing he has to a best friend. Maybe. But for Dad's Bones. But like, you know, they don't work together that isn't like, they're not like in the booth working together, but like if you're the director, the voice director of like a project or something like that, then you're there working with like each of the actors when they come in to do their recordings. So, you know, that means you're getting to interact with them a lot more and like kind of help direct them in certain ways, for like how to do the characters and stuff like that. Also, sometimes if you're one of the voice directors, you sometimes end up just being in the series anyway. Maybe not necessarily as a super major character, but sometimes as like one of the characters. And John Swazi, he was also talking about the fact that his eldest daughter is getting into voice acting, and it might have been the same one that was like the one that was like, Daddy, I loved you as the bear in that movie. It might be the same daughter, I don't know. But like, she's also into voice acting. And at one point in time, they ended up being in the same show together. But the character he played was a creep and was hitting on the character that she played, which is just extra disturbing because they played the you know, the voice of the guy for his daughter before she's gonna dub in her lines, and she's like, oh no, that's bad. And then like he found out about it, like called or texted or whatever the guy that was the voice director, and it's just like, why did you do this? This is wrong. Type of a thing, just to like, you know, that type of thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's one of the things you got to be careful with, for certain things. But like, so that was fun. And then kind of at the end, like my nephew went up and asked some other stuff, like I don't remember exactly what my nephew asked, but like my mom and him went up and asked some stuff. I think someone asked him if he'd been in any, you know, live action roles, and he said that he's in the movie Dazed and Confused with the Matthew McConaughey, and he just plays like the beer delivery guy for like one scene or whatever, but there's not really that much else that went along with it. I don't remember what questions my nephew asked. Sorry. But one of the last questions that someone asked was a lady came up, and I think she was dressed as Eraserhead. I think she was dressed as Aizawa, if it was the lady that I was thinking of. There was like little kids that came up and asked him questions too. But like, she walked up and she's like, do you think that All For One is Izuku's dad in My Hero? And he's like, I have no idea. And then he goes, also, I have no idea about Crocodile being Luffy's mom either. Which, I love the fact that he is aware of that theory. For like the Croco mom theory, for all of us in the One Piece community that are like, oh my god, Crocodile might be Luffy's mom because of insert reasons and Ivankov. And we don't know that much about Crocodile's past. What if he is Luffy's mom? And I'm like, I love the fact that Crocodile's English voice actor knows about that theory. And I love that thought. That was just really funny in my opinion. And everybody laughed at it too. And then my nephew asked about it, and I'm like, it's okay. You don't need to understand this. It's fine. You're not old. You're not far enough in the series to understand this. You haven't even met Crocodile yet, and then you gotta wait like a lot longer before you even meet Ivankov for any of this theory to make sense. So don't worry about it. It was like I was like, you haven't met the characters that make this theory make any form of sense. Tangentially hanging on by threads that are falling apart, scraps. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But it was just really funny having that reaction. I think I made a mention to Grimillin, to Mihawk's voice actor, and I'm like, there's a theory that like Mihawk is like Rayleigh's son, and I think he does know who Rayleigh is, because I don't know how much, because like I think we tried to ask them, or like he had made mention that like sometimes they do follow what's going on in the manga, because Grimillin was really happy when Gentle Criminal showed back up in My Hero. He was really happy about that, with him showing back up and having like his like little redemption bit at the end, when he helps save UA as it's falling and everything else like that. Like he was there. He loved that Criminal gets to come back, and he's like, the thing with Criminal is that he's a gentle criminal. He's a gentleman criminal. He's a gentleman thief. He's not like actually hurting anyone. Yeah, he's like robbing stores and stuff like that, robbing the convenience stores, but he's not like actually like really hurting anybody. He's not a villain. He's just a criminal. So there's that difference there, which is like one of those things that is very evident when it comes to like Gentle Criminal versus All for One, because All for One is just straight up like demon lord mastermind type of a thing, which is just although John Swazi, in regards to All for One role, he's like, I really love getting to come in and play him. He's really fun. One of his favorite scenes that they had to do was it's the scene where you're seeing Shigaraki and All for One, where they're like forming together, merging together and stuff like that, during like those whole sequences, where they're like speaking the same lines at the same time at in the exact same setup, where they're where they're synchronized. And they had he said that Eric Vale, who is Tomura's voice actor, Shigaraki's voice actor, had been in first to do the line readings for the recording, and then he came in and he had to then match him, and he's like, it has to be exact for how it matches, and he was like, he really enjoyed doing that process for getting those characters right and everything. He also just likes getting to play the bad guy, because he's like, sometimes bad guys are just a lot more fun to play, and I'm like, yeah, I can understand that entirely. Yeah, that works. So that was kind of my little experience. Not the first convention that I've been to. I've been to another one in Omaha a couple of times that was called Britfest, but that was before I got onto YouTube. It was mostly like Doctor Who and Harry Potter and Star Wars type stuff. Not that they didn't have like anime stuff there as well, but it was mostly like that stuff, and then this was more like anime type stuff. Like there was so many booths that like I just wish I had had more money and space to buy so many different things. I got like a bunch of stickers, because it's like, okay, I can at least get stickers because those are at least reasonably priced things that don't take up a whole lot of space. They're reasonably priced, they don't take up a whole lot of space, we're good. I can easily set them aside and keep them somewhere, and they're small and compact. And I got a couple of, I got some stickers for my niece, and for the niece that wasn't able to come. We all had a really good time, so that was really fun. And I also got stuff signed for Tekking as well. So I got Yoru with a proper signature on the back for Tekking, and then a new Suna tag for Tekking. Although, unfortunately, when I was doing the one for typing up the thing for teching it, I had accidentally typed in trekking on my phone for what I wanted him to say in the signature for John Swazi. So, oh well. Teching is now involved with Star Trek, so that's where we're going with that. No. So, that's what I have for this video. I just kind of wanted to talk about that. We had a lot of fun there. This is going to go up the day after, like, one of the Kinemon videos goes up, and then, like, later this week we'll have the next chapter review for, I think, 11:37, I think. So we'll get that. Thank you very much. I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye.